My name's Brad, SuperCoach Pro. Today we're doing a late round 14 SuperCoach Preview. As you can see, I have made two trades in my side. I bought in Jeremy Cameron this week, who hasn't worked out to be a great pick, and the other guy is Mulligan. So these were my Hawthorn boys, Weddle and Mitchell had to come out of there. I needed a downgrade in the back line for cover. As you'll see, I have really not a lot of trades left. And I have to keep Cincotta by the looks of it too. So Cincotta and Mulligan will be my cover. So I'll finish my back line there with Dawson, Day, Sheasel down back, Dacos, Stewart, and Sinclair, with Mulligan and Cincotta as my emergencies, because I am down to 4 trades. So good bench for the back line, I think, for now anyway. Now these last 4 trades, one of them I'm going to use next week. So next week, even though Briggs has got more money to make, unless I nail my VC and get a really big score, I'll probably just look into the round and see how my side's going by this time. By the Sunday game, I'll assess if I need an extra player on, and if I do, I'll bring Briggs into... Actually, you know what? I'd have to do it sooner than that, because I'd have to bring Andrew up to R3 as planned, and then move Cameron to the forward line. So probably have to decide after the Geelong-Melbourne game and after the St Kilda and Brisbane game and how it went. So what I might do is I might VC Dunkley next week, and if he goes nuts, it might make up for his score and I can play 17 on the field and try to max out the cash. If I'm struggling for points though, and early on my primos are failing, like Neil, Dunkley, Cameron has another bad one, Stewart doesn't play really well, then I'll probably roll the risk and not use all the cash gen available and just grab in Darcy Cameron. I might have to do that early anyway, because the week after, I don't really want to be fielding America forward after the buys are done. So logically, I know you're not going to make all the cash in the world out of it, but do you really want to lose points week in, week out? I'm waiting for Briggs to cash out, because those last 3 trades I'm going to use are just pure long-term injury things, and then normally like a 4+ week injury. So that's something I'm just going to decide next week. I'm down to 4 trades now. I'll definitely use one because I think I've only got 17 playing next week, and I don't mind waiting a couple of weeks to make out the max cash gen, but I understand I'm going to lose points at F6 if I do that, because I can't really loophole Ford and Marriott, because unfortunately Sydney have a lot of early games. So I mean, the side is pretty risky, because for my rookies, you can see I've got Roberts, who hopefully is back next fortnight or so, gets some VFL and then gets back into that side somehow, because Sydney aren't playing too great anyway, so maybe they'd give these boys a run. So my only real option in my midfield for bench cover is Johnson, who's been playing in the midfield. I'm a little bit worried now that O'Meara is back in the side if his points still are not bad. And I've got Cincotta, who probably stays for the year because he'll be a handy DPP, swinging him defence and midfield cover week in, week out. Mulligan has early rounds, so if he does score something really nice, I'll go down and I'll actually loophole his score and grab Constable down there as my little loop, because that was the plan with a Sydney player, is if I can loop a D6 and do something with my midfield and then do something with my forward, it means I might not have to play Jezza by looping some players. So yeah, as I said, Mulligan, Cincotta, defence, and Cincotta midfield as well, cover with Johnson. So I've got one cover, and one that can do both. So cover all aspects there. And then my forward rookies are actually pretty good. Ford and Marek. Ford I'm probably going to keep for the year. And then I bring in Cameron here, and McAndrew goes up to R3. So I can cover each line, and I won't have bad rookies necessarily. You know, they're actually pretty decent rookies. My side will be complete if I go ahead and get Cameron next week and don't max out the cash on Briggs. But like I said, it'll be a week-to-week assessment with how much more money I can squeeze out of Briggs. If he scores well today, then obviously I'm going to have to hold. But if he scores a 60 or 70, suddenly that cash generation is really starting to dry up. So it's a really week-to-week proper position. I know I might leak some points, but Yeah, sorry I couldn't get this video out sooner. I've had my son with me for the last few days, and it's very hard to do recording. He's only 9 weeks old tomorrow, so I haven't had much sleep. So between work, Muay Thai, and having a 9 week old, it is a lot at the moment. So do apologise for the late video. Hopefully you guys are doing all right. So far we're at 852 projected, 1895. I don't think that's too great, but a lot of people won't be fielding full teams in these next two rounds. Just quickly too, there's a few players that I've been looking at that I think might be a decent, F6 for cheap, that we could possibly look at. I didn't watch too much of the game last night, but the Port Adelaide and Geelong game, I've got my eyes on Hawkins. I know Cameron stunk it up, but these guys are going to have to fire at some point. Hawkins' average is 90s. Go look at Footy Wire, no worries. And he could be a player that you pick up for like 350,000, and you can sort of just side swap him for Eddie forward per se. I like these kind of F6 moves. Not everyone's going to upgrade a full side. My worst player would be Jeremy Cameron. Someone's worst might be Nathan Fyfe. So it's not too bad of a risk. I wanted someone with a high ceiling, and I don't mind at all. Or Hawkins at F7 too. Those sort of players pay off. This is the sort of time you can make risks. Obviously, if you've got plenty of trades, I'd be risking it for your Taron Thomas. I'd be risking it for Nathan Fyfes. I'd be doing all sorts of crazy stuff if I could. Mine was like, if I'm going to go down to 3 trades, I need every line to be covered and my rookies to be really good. So that's what my plan has been. Just trade super aggressively, get a full team primo really quick, and go for value now. Ollie Wines 134. I've shouted him about 4 weeks ago, and he was about 430k odd. Slow starts the season, didn't have a preseason, but these are the players you got to find now. I think I shouted him out around here somewhere, maybe, but 110, 95, 95, 92, and then scores 134. So you got a bloke that's averaging you 100 odd over the last month or two, and you haven't had to pay too much. So just have a look at these players and see why they've had a slow start. Read some articles, type in their player name, obviously, and then click news and see what you can come up with. There's not too many other players I can think of that really spark my interest for a cheap option. Horn Francis is useless this year. Can't believe Melican outscored Jeremy Cameron, and that's my issue. Is I'd love to grab a Sherrick or Robertson, and I could do it next week for Shinkoda if Briggs has enough money to make. I might grab one of these two. I'd probably rather lean towards Sheldrick, because he's got the DPP, and I might be able to use him in my forward line and loop maybe a Cameron or something with him if he's going to continue to score decently. Sydney got a decent fixture. Gordon bounced back, so like I said last week, he did score 60. But you got to hold these primos because they will pay you back. And Neil move that I did for Z-Books that paid off because he scored 144 this week. But in saying that too, they omitted Aaron Hall. So if I knew Aaron Hall was getting omitted, I wouldn't have traded out Z-Ball last week. And just go over your gut. Sometimes don't read into too many people's opinions about players because you can overanalyze things and trade out players you shouldn't have traded, and then you can bring in players you shouldn't trade in. And I almost got scared off Melican, but I just looked at him. I looked at Sydney's injury list, and I just can't see timeframes from these defenders coming back. It's all concussion based, hamstring season, et cetera, et cetera. I just thought we're going to have to downgrade somewhere in defence, and I don't love Shinkoda's job security going forward, so I need Melican to just be that rookie that averages 50, 60 if I have a weight out at some point. So that's the only reason why I picked him. He's 23 years old, had to go there, and there's just no defensive rookie downgrades that I think has got decent job security, and he's been named on the park. So that was my other green flag, is these rookies that you see, if they're named on interchange bench, I get a little bit scared off because it means they're not really, best 18 on the park. I mean, sometimes it doesn't matter because we had Jaden Short or something stupid on the bench, and he's really obviously top 10 player of our side. So sometimes it doesn't matter, but for rookies, I really like to look at if they're named on field and where they're named on field, because sometimes it is pretty relevant. And even like Lloyd, we recommended him the other week and he went bad, and then he repays you and scores a 103. So don't get scared of these primos. They all have a bad one. Cameron, that's why I'm not scared of him. He'll bounce back, no worries at all. Warner will bounce back next week, you'd think. They play West Coast, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, just don't get scared off these players. Boer looks to be a bit of a stinking pick. If Heaney or Franklin can get up next week, you'd think he'd be straight out of that side. So that's a little bit of a wasted pick, but I did that with McAndrew before the buys. So everyone misses a rookie. Everyone goes early on a rookie, and all you want is a downgrade. As long as you've got a plan for these players, I mean, brilliant. He could be an F8 that you actually loop, but Sydney have early games, so you won't be able to loop him for at least the next month anyway. If you do have some sort of loop scenario, F7, F6. And then for Brisbane, Wyman and Jasper were rookies you could go for. I don't love their job security. But for next week, if Briggs still got a lot of coin, I'm going to go Robertson or Sheldrick. I think they were pretty good, and I just wanted to see another game out of them. I'd rather them almost over Fife. That you can kind of still got a break even of 26, so it gave me another week to have a look. Fife is someone I'd only go if I had, 7 or 8 trades at this point. I just can't have that bloke in my side at the moment. I do love the pick, but just it depends how many trades you got, because you don't want to be trading him back out or him being a dead rookie. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Sorry for the really super late video. Yeah, I'm just I'm trying my best here. So anyway, hopefully this one comes out soon. I'll leave it there and catch you on the next.